Anime, the legendary hero is dead. Now let's continue to episode 12, or the final episode. Yuna and Henri are surprised when Kyle suddenly appears. Henri points her sword at Kyle. Kyle lies, saying that he was awakened after Tuka threw him into the sea. Henri believes him without hesitation. However, when Kyle arrives, he had already expressed his desire for revenge against Tuka. Upon reflection, it turns out that Diego had heard about Kyle before. Diego feels even more excited about this battle. As Diego tries to attack him, Kyle easily cuts Diego's hand into pieces. Kyle states that it is not the time to enjoy the fight and instructs Diego to assess the situation in the city. Diego follows his instructions and observes it through a magic crystal ball. The reinforcements from the capital have defeated most of Diego's demon forces. However, Diego is not afraid. On the contrary, he becomes even more thrilled because the best entertainment is right in front of him. He absorbs all the demons around him, allowing Diego to absorb all their magical energy and power. Diego can now unleash a devastating laser attack. Fortunately, Kyle manages to deflect it, although his clothes are torn apart. At present, Diego becomes stronger, while their time is running out. Yuna and the residents of Morin will soon turn into demons. In that situation, at least Yuna wants to talk to Tuka for the last time. Tuka wakes up and finds himself in a mysterious place in the sky. As far as Tuka remembers, he had just drunk the drop of soma, and suddenly his vision went dark. From the situation, he suspects that he is dead and in the afterlife. Suddenly, there is a voice from behind, stating that Tuka is not dead yet. When he turns around, unexpectedly, the voice comes from the hero, Cyan. Cyan says this is the world of the sacred sword. Tuka becomes more convinced that he is dead upon meeting Cyan. Tuka has a feeling that Cyan seeks revenge for his death. However, when Cyan approaches him, he expresses gratitude instead. Throughout this time, Cyan has been watching Tuka's actions. Despite being forced to play the role of a hero, Tuka still protected Henri from Kyle, saved the capital, and now risks his life to save the residents of Morin. Cyan is deeply grateful that Tuka inherited his body. Tuka never expected Cyan to thank his own killer. He feels that Cyan is still suspicious. Even in the afterlife, Tuka does not want to be captured by Cyan. Suddenly, Tuka escapes from his presence. While running, Tuka stops upon seeing a stone mirror. The mirror depicts numerous naked girls wearing stockings. Cyan explains that behind the stone mirror lies the dream world of the person who sees it. Cyan himself doesn't know why there is a stone mirror like that, but he suspects it's some kind of reward for completing the mission. However, once Tuka passes through the stone mirror, he won't be able to return. And that means he won't be able to save Yuna. Tuka still believes he is dead, so how could he save Yuna? Cyan explains once again that Tuka is not yet dead. Humans consist of a physical body, a soul in their head, and life energy in their hearts. If one of them is lost, the human will die. For example, Cyan has lost his life energy. However, Tuka still has his soul. And currently, his physical body and life energy are in Henri's life chest. In other words, Tuka is only lost in this world. As mentioned earlier, this place is the world of the sacred sword, a place for the souls of deceased heroes. Tuka is on the brink of life and death, which is why he ended up in this place. Tuka is truly confused. After all, he is not a hero. However, Cyan reveals that Tuka has been chosen as the next hero. On the night Tuka defeated the demon who aided Leland, his magical energy suddenly increased dramatically, causing the sacred sword to mistakenly choose him as the next hero. That's why Tuka can wield the sacred sword even with a different body. Tuka finds it difficult to believe. Afterward, Tuka shows the way out of this place. If Tuka wants to return to the real world, there will undoubtedly be a difficult trial awaiting him. And if Tuka chooses to stay here, Cyan won't stop him. It's not a difficult choice for Tuka. He chooses to return to the real world and create his true dream world there. Moreover, he has promised to save Yuna. Meanwhile, Kyle is still engaged in a battle with Diego. Honestly, Kyle is not sure if he can continue attacking until Diego's magical energy is depleted. Moreover, dawn is about to arrive. Yuna cries and pleads for Tuka to wake up. Tuka, who is now conscious, asks if Yuna is willing to stroke his thighs hundreds of times while being naked and wearing stockings. Yuna, who is still crying, doesn't realize that it's Tuka's voice. Without hesitation, she agrees. After hearing Yuna's answer, Tuka immediately stands up, full of enthusiasm. However, Diego is convinced that Tuka's presence won't change the current situation. Tuka asks Henri to release his body from the life chest. As soon as it's done, Diego's arm is suddenly severed in an instant. At this moment, Cyan's soul is inside Tuka's body. Cyan's soul, which resided in the sacred sword, has transferred to Tuka's body. Henri and Kyle welcome Cyan's presence. However, Cyan knows what Kyle did while he was gone. But Kyle says he did it because his overflowing love for Cyan compelled him to. Diego didn't expect the sacred sword to be capable of something similar to necromancer magic. Nevertheless, Diego is even more thrilled to fight against Cyan. Then, Cyan continues to dismember Diego's body. His movements are extraordinary, even in Tuka's body. Before Tuka leaves the world of the sacred sword, he and Cyan discuss a plan to defeat Diego. Currently, only Tuka can wield the sacred sword. Cyan will use a regular sword and provide assistance. First, Cyan will destroy the vertex magic crystal to prevent Diego from using absorbing magic for a while. Before the magic crystal fully regenerates, Tuka needs to finish off Diego. However, Tuka's current magical energy is not strong enough to pierce the vertex's head. Cyan advises Tuka to shorten the sacred sword to increase his magical energy. That way, his thrust will be sharper. The vertex magic crystal has been destroyed, but Diego can still use his unbound blood magic. He intends to regenerate soon. Fortunately, Kyle is there to restrain him with magic. Tuka steps forward to finish off Diego. Meanwhile, Ethel and Friedrich, who were at odds with each other before, are now watching Tuka's battle from above. Tuka manages to dodge Diego's attacks and get close to his body. He thrusts his sword into the vertex's head, along with a reinforcement magic crystal. Then, just 1 second before Yuna and the people of Morn transform, Tuka successfully destroys the vertex's head. Although the vertex is defeated, Diego manages to return to his original body in the forest. However, for some reason, his body cannot move. In front of him, there are several other necromancers waiting for him. The necromancers bring 2 small demons. The demons seek revenge because Diego killed their queen. Diego is unable to fight back because his body is immobile. Sometime later, Tuka meets Yuna's original body. Tuka fulfills his promise to save Yuna. Then, Tuka reminds Yuna of her promise to stroke his thighs hundreds of times. Yuna pretends not to understand what Tuka said. After that incident, they couldn't find Ethel and Friedrich. And now, the capital is holding a party for the hero. Millie has been crying because Yuna has returned. Colin and Negan are also present at the party. They want to thank Tuka, but they end up expressing their gratitude to Yuna. Understandably, Tuka is currently in Yuna's body. Yuna tells them to thank the real Tuka instead. However, when they look, Tuka is surrounded by girls. Yuna is not pleased and drags Tuka into a room. Taking advantage of the situation, Tuka reminds Yuna of her promise again. However, Yuna says the promise is void because Cyan is present. Tuka accepts that the promise is no longer valid, especially since he's happy to see Yuna safe. Yuna is once again saved by the hero she likes, Cyan. Yuna doesn't like it when Tuka says such things casually. In reality, she is very grateful to be saved by Tuka. Then, somehow, Yuna decides to fulfill her promise. Yuna wears stockings, but she is not naked, only wearing a bikini. Just as Tuka is about to touch her thighs, he remembers that Cyan has always been watching over him. Upon hearing this, Yuna immediately runs away out of embarrassment. Yuna was bathing in a hot spring to calm her mind. She didn't understand why she always acted strangely whenever she was near Tuka. Marguerite joined Yuna and answered that Yuna had fallen in love with Tuka. Although it's hard to believe she would have feelings for someone as reckless as him, Tuka is still a good person. Then, Marguerite asked Yuna to address her directly by her name. From now on, they are love rivals, so she wants their positions to be equal regardless of titles. Besides, they are travel companions. There's no harm in using each other's names. Before Cyan returns to the world of the Sacred Sword after Diego's defeat, he informed Tuka of his next goal. For now, Tuka cannot immediately head to the gates of hell. Before going there, Tuka needs to increase his magical energy level. If he does so, there's a possibility that Cyan can fight alongside him again. Cyan knows someone who has in-depth knowledge of magical energy. That person might be able to help Tuka increase his magical energy. Cyan asked Kyle and Dorothy to accompany Tuka to meet that person. Kyle had suspected that the person Cyan referred to was the Wise One. Several days later, Tuka, Henri, Yuna, and Marguerite were ready to embark on their journey to find the Wise One. Of course, Kyle and Dorothy accompanied them as requested by Cyan. And thus, Tuka and his friends would continue their adventure. This is the end of episode 12, the final episode of this anime. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss another anime recap.